Java is just 0.8% the size of Russia, yet it has more people. Hard to believe, right? But it's completely true. It's one of the most shocking facts in modern geography. Russia stretches across 11 time zones, touches both Europe and Asia, and takes up over 11% of Earth's land. Java, it's smaller than the US state of North Carolina, but packed with over 158 million people. That's more than Australia, more than Japan, and yes, more than Russia. With over 1,100 people living on every square kilometer, Java is one of the most crowded places on the planet, and yet many people have never even heard of it. Meanwhile, Russia's vast land holds just 8 people per square kilometer, spread out across forests, tundra, and frozen plains. So how did this happen? How can a modest island in Southeast Asia outnumber the population of the biggest country on Earth? The answer isn't simple, but it's incredibly revealing. Climate. One of the biggest reasons Java can support so many people is its stable tropical climate, which stays warm and humid all year long. Unlike places with cold winters, Java's farmers can grow rice, its main food crop, 2 or even 3 times a year without a long pause between seasons. This non-stop farming, combined with rich volcanic soil, creates a steady and reliable food supply that has supported population growth for centuries. Over time, people built complex irrigation systems, including canals, dams, aqueducts, and reservoirs, to make sure farmland always had water. Today, over 2/3 of Java's land is under cultivation, showing just how intensely the island is used to grow food. In contrast, much of Russia's land is locked under extreme climates, especially in Siberia, where winter temperatures can drop as low as -71.2 degrees Celsius, making farming and dense settlement nearly impossible. As a result, about 85% of Russia's population lives in the European part, which is only 23% of the country's land, while the remaining 77%, mostly in Asia, remains sparsely populated. This shows that Russia's size is not an advantage when much of it is too cold or harsh to support farming or large populations. Meanwhile, Java's climate, soil, and irrigation systems created a powerful loop. More food meant more people, and more people helped grow even more food. The Volcanic Paradox. Now, here's the strange part. The very thing that makes Java so fertile is also incredibly dangerous. Indonesia is the most volcanically active country in the world, with 74 volcanoes that have erupted in just the last 200 years. That's more than Japan and the United States combined, and many of these eruptions have been some of the biggest and deadliest in history. Mount Tambora's eruption in 1815 was so massive it changed the world's weather and caused what people called the year without a summer. Then there was Krakatoa in 1883. It exploded so violently the sound was heard 5,000 kilometers away, and over 36,000 people died. Out of those 74 volcanoes, 45 are on Java alone, stretching in a line across the island like a spine of fire. Mount Merapi, near the city of Yogyakarta, is one of the world's most active volcanoes. It erupts every few years and millions of people live right next to it. The reason Java has so many volcanoes comes from deep underground, where 2 huge plates of the Earth are crashing into each other. Here, the Indo-Australian plate is slowly sliding under the Sunda plate, and that's what creates all the magma that rises up and forms volcanoes. Even though eruptions have killed thousands, people still live there, because the volcanic ash makes the soil incredibly rich for farming. Every time a volcano erupts, it spreads mineral-rich ash across the land, which slowly breaks down and makes the soil perfect for growing food. That ash is like nature's own fertilizer. And because Java's volcanoes erupt so often, the land keeps getting replenished. It's the same pattern that made ancient river valleys in Egypt, India, and China great for farming. Before chemical fertilizers were invented, volcanic soil was one of the few places on Earth where people could farm heavily, and Java had it in abundance. That's why Java, despite the constant risk, became one of the world's most productive farming regions. The power of rice cultivation. Java just happens to have all the right conditions for growing one of the world's most powerful food crops, rice. Rice is a special kind of crop because it packs a huge amount of energy into a small area. 1 acre of rice gives about 11 million calories, almost 3 times more than wheat. But rice is also hard work. It takes nearly 10 times more labor to harvest than wheat, especially without machines. So the more rice you grow, the more hands you need. And that's part of how Java ended up with so many people. In Java's climate, farmers can harvest rice up to 3 times a year, which means non-stop food and non-stop work. And over generations, this created a powerful cycle. Rice feeds people, people grow more rice, and more rice supports more people. History. But climate alone doesn't explain everything. History played a huge role too. Long before European powers arrived, Java was already a major center for rice farming and trade, with bustling ports along its northern coast. Then came the Dutch, who turned Java into the heart of their colony, pouring in roads, railways, bridges, and telegraphs, almost all built to serve Java first. Their forced farming system, called the Cultivation system, made millions of Javanese grow crops like sugar and coffee for Europe, which meant more labor, more control, and even more people staying on the island. When Indonesia became independent, this pattern didn't really change. From the 1960s to the 1990s, the national government continued focusing investment and development mostly on Java. By 2008, Java and Bali made up 62% of the country's economy, even though they were just a small part of Indonesia's land. As a result, people from other islands kept moving to Java in search of jobs, roads, schools, and better living conditions. And that movement has never really stopped. Meanwhile, Russia's population has followed a very different path. It peaked in 1991 and has been shrinking ever since, hit by high death rates and low birth rates. From the fall of the Soviet Union, to the COVID pandemic, to the war in Ukraine, Russia has faced one shock after another, and each one has pushed more people away, making it harder to grow or even maintain its population. Urban growth. Today, Java isn't just full of people, it's also the economic heart of Indonesia, home to the country's biggest cities, businesses, and industries. Jakarta alone has over 10 million people, and other cities like Surabaya, Bandung, and Yogyakarta have grown fast too, thanks to jobs, schools, and modern services. This wave of urban growth keeps pulling more people in, especially from other islands where opportunities are fewer and infrastructure is weaker. Even though much of Java is still rural, the cities are growing bigger every year because that's where most of the country's economy is centered. For many families, moving to Java means more chances for work and a better life. Long ago, people believed that having more children meant having more wealth, which helped grow Java's population quickly through large families. And now, even with smaller families, better healthcare means more babies and mothers survive, so the population stays large. That's why Java hasn't stopped growing. The people make the place. You know, it's not just the land or the weather or the food. What truly makes Java feel so full of life is the people. I mean, ask anyone who's been there, folks will tell you the same thing. Javanese people are famously warm, polite, and incredibly welcoming. Wherever you go on the island, whether it's a tiny village or a packed train in Jakarta, you'll be greeted with smiles, small talk, and maybe even someone asking for a selfie. You'll always see people wherever you go on Java, but it's never a problem, because Javanese are just that nice. It's not just friendliness either. Java has a culture of hospitality. You might be offered food, tea, even an invitation into someone's home. Now let's look at Russia for a moment. It's a completely different vibe. Russians tend to value privacy, space, and emotional reserve. Public life is more serious and people may prefer distance. Russians can seem quiet or serious at first. You won't get smiles from strangers on the street like you do in Java. But that doesn't mean they're cold. It's just a different cultural rhythm. Russians tend to be direct. They say what they mean and don't waste words on pleasantries. But once you become friends, that's when the doors open. Hospitality in Russia is deep and genuine. A guest is treated like family. You'll be welcomed with food, drink, maybe even a long, heartfelt toast. So while Java feels open and overflowing with energy on the surface, Russia's warmth lives deeper, behind a layer of quiet. Both cultures are rich, but they shape how people interact, how close they live together, and even how comfortable large populations feel. So in the end, it isn't just about size, it's about soil, it's about history, it's about where people can live and want to live. And Java checks every box: fertile land, a perfect climate for rice, strong infrastructure, deep historical roots, and a culture that actually thrives on closeness. It's a place that not only supports life, it multiplies it. That's why this one small island, making up less than 7% of Indonesia's land, now holds over half its people. And it's why Java, not Russia, is home to more people than any island or any country its size on Earth. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, leave a comment down below and tell me your favorite fact you learned. See you in the next one.